Welcome to the Inside Integration Podcast. Today, Jayson and I are joined by Mike Teolis, the President of Colorbeam. Hey, Mike. Welcome to Inside Integration.
Hey guys, thank you for having me. Great to be on.
So, we at Oliver Marketing, we are very stoked to now represent Colorbeam in Northern California and Northern Nevada. It's a great product. I've heard about it for years, working for integrators. I know Jason's kind of in the same boat. People have been really talking about it. But before we get too deep into Colorbeam, for those in our audience who just may not be familiar with it, can you give us an overview of what Colorbeam is and what it encompasses?
Sure. We're the first fixture manufacturer that came to the CEDIA channel 7 years ago. We founded Colorbeam, and it's really to bring, at the time, a unique business opportunity to the CEDIA channel. My partner and I, who founded Colorbeam, have been AV integrators for 25 years, both on the residential and commercial side. And probably going back about 10 years ago, when we saw the transition to LED lighting and what was going on, we kind of figured out that there was a better way of doing lighting, and it had to be on a low voltage infrastructure because we really didn't need the line voltage as we know it to do fixtures. And that represented an opportunity, a unique opportunity for AV integrators to get into the fixture side of things, not just lighting control. So today, Colorbeam is recognized as one of the few lighting manufacturers that offers recessed lighting. We do tape light, and we also do landscape and outdoor lighting. But really what differentiates us is the low voltage class 2 infrastructure, which allows AV integrators to now get into the space technically without an electrical license. And they're pulling the same wires that they pull for every other product that they're positioning into a customer's home or commercial application. That's what we do.
So it really is. It's almost like it's kind of a philosophy, right? Like you guys are, you kind of came out of the gate with, low voltage from fixture to panel and all of that. And there really is, there's a lot of buzz in custom integration these days about dealers who can get into fixtures and that sort of thing and really kind of add that to their offering. Would you say that that's the biggest benefit to them, is that it's just low voltage from beginning to end? Or
Yeah, it is the biggest advantage. One, they're controlling. We always say that they're controlling the sales process because we always say in times where you want to leverage relationships with the electrician, you want to have him pull cat cable instead of Romex, you want to have him install the cans. You can choose to do that and actually build relationships with specifiers and electricians that may allow you as a team to drive more business. But at the end of the day, you're getting into the fixture side of things without the need of electrical competencies or electrical licenses. Anyone can install a class 2 lighting solution, whether you're doing 4 feet of tape light in a kitchen or whether you're doing a 20,000 square foot home. Anyone can do it that's got a low voltage license today. So that is really driving the business for AV integrators. It's not only selling the product, but capturing 100% of the labor revenue that is significant as well. So you're not leaving the labor on the table to somebody else. You're capturing 100% of the revenue stream. And where it makes sense to share, you do that. Where it makes sense to capture all of it, you do that as well. So you're now basically driving the bus.
That makes perfect sense, and I think it kind of addresses a lot of the hesitancy of guys in the CI channel, right? Like we're all kind of in a spot where we were with maybe shading 10 or 15 years ago, right? So 10 or 15 years ago, we really started seeing the push to get into shading. Hey, it's just like everything you're doing now. All you need to know how to do is measure and that kind of thing. And this fixture focus for CI guys really kind of feels like that. You guys have obviously been in this game for quite a long time. How do you kind of make a CI guy a little bit more comfortable with the fixture offering? And
that was going to be my question. What's the biggest mental block you feel like dealers have to sort of overcome to really adopt your product and be successful with it? I know we're just talking about it. Traditional AV guys, right? I'm the sound man. I'm the TV guy. I'm Mr. Entertainment or Mrs. Entertainment. what do we have to do to get over that hill?
Well, I think the number one thing that we've done since day one to help AV guys get into the space is our design and support services. The low voltage aspect is still a hurdle. It absolutely is. Getting integrators to get into the fixture side of things is a challenge, and the low voltage aspect is another hurdle because it's different. It's not what we've been doing for 100 years. It's the what ifs. What if it doesn't work? Well, we've been doing this for, low voltage lighting has existed in commercial space for 20 years. It's not that it doesn't work. DMX has been around for 40 years. That's our infrastructure. I'm pretty sure it works. It manages $1 million, single night events. But what we do from a lighting design perspective is really taking that off of the plate. Integrators don't need to be lighting experts day one to get into the fixture side of things. We have a team of lighting designers here in Montreal that do everything in support of our dealers. We do lighting design, we do fixture selection, placement, beam angle calculations, foot candle recommendations. We're laying out the design for the dealers. We're creating the bill of materials. We're doing the engineering of it. The only thing that our dealers have to add to a quote is basically third-party control, which is the keypads, labor, and programming. Everything is single source from one manufacturer based on an engineered solution that is built and engineered for AV integrators. And then we even do the schematics back to the head end for the installation side. So I think we're doing everything we possibly can to support our dealers and feel comfortable getting into the category. But we're really still day one in the category because I think probably estimates are still that 10-12% of AV integrators are actively doing something in the channel with Colorbeam and or with another manufacturer. So it's still day one. We're proud to have started that conversation 7 years ago and really lead the charge. And we've seen 30 or 40 other manufacturers now come into the space with different solutions and line voltage solutions and so on. So it speaks volumes to what the opportunity is, and that's what's driving a lot of manufacturers to the space, and slowly but surely dealer adoption as they start to understand that there's absolutely nothing that they can bring into their businesses today that has anywhere near the revenue and profitability that lighting gives them. I mean, what else can you bring into a project that's going to potentially drive more revenue than all of the AV you can potentially cram down your customers' throats? There isn't anything, right? And that's why the conversation is evolving, and that's why we as an industry predicted within 3 to 5 years a substantial amount of luxury lighting will be sold by this channel because they are the best channel to sell and deploy technology-based solutions. And as lighting evolves to more technology-based solutions, this channel would be best positioned to sell, service, install, support, commission, do all the things that they do every single day.
Yeah, audio used to be the entree, right? AV used to be the entree. Now it's going to be the sprinkles on top, which is that's a sea change for this industry, right? Like it's a major one because everybody's been focused upon the entertainment space. Well, that space is really well saturated, and there's a lot of high performance options out there, but the field is limited. So you guys bring another set of opportunities for dealers.
Well, the thing that's also driving opportunity is, and we talk about this a lot, is the integrators that are in early with lighting will automatically get the AV because as both tie into the same controls, why would someone else get the AV if he was in and positioned themselves early on to be the lighting provider? It just doesn't make sense, right? So we talked about he was in early with lighting will automatically get the AV down the road, and it also is allowing AV guys that are really getting their feet into lighting to be relevant with specifiers. AV guys have never been relevant with anybody, always the last guy in with the toys. Lighting has given them an opening to be relevant with architects and designers and builders and so on. So, and building those relationships where now you're talking about a project 2 years down the road, not the last guy's in, with who's going to sell the projector and speakers and some TVs. So big change.
I mean, you really you really hit a good point there with with getting in with the specifiers and ingratiating yourself with the interior designer and getting in there at the beginning of the project. Like it seems like that's something that we could definitely all stand to work on a little bit more, from an integrator standpoint, where we are providers for all of your technology, and that includes your audio, your video, your control, but also your lighting. And hey, let's talk to your interior designer now and get into this project. And what's great about Colorbeam, I'm gonna try not to put any words in your mouth, but just the amount of fixtures and that sort of thing that you guys offer, it's a really full palette for an interior designer to kind of to paint with, and really makes you look like a hero, to introduce it.
Well, yes, we do have a lot of products, but we always talk about the fact that lighting or a fixture is no longer about what it looks like in the ceiling. What it's been for 50 years. Oh, is it gold? Is it pink? Is it blue? What's the color of it? Today, it's what you can do with the light that's driving the conversation, not what the aesthetics of the fixture is. Tunability, RGB, RGBW, tape light, all the things that make that can make a room spectacular is what we offer. Having the ability to completely change the look and feel of a room based on mood, based on wellness applications, based on customer lifestyle, all those kind of things that are now driving innovation in lighting. And I always, when I'm presenting to integrators, I always say, you're trying to sell our common customer, who's a luxury homeowner, a $250,000 speaker or speaker set. Why do you think that he'd want, I'm going to use my words close, I'm going to choose my words wisely, but why do you think he would want the crappiest lights that exist on the market? He doesn't, but he doesn't know any better. No one is educating him on how better lighting will make that home so much better. They just don't know. How does poor lighting affect colors in the house? How does it affect countertop colors, furniture? Everything is affected by poor light, but people just don't know any better. So if integrators can grab or have the ability to grab someone's attention and explain to them what better lighting is going to do for the home, they're gonna become very, very relevant very quickly, because no one is presenting that to the homeowner as an option. So, and again, that's education. It's being really focused on the category. It's making it's taking the time to build something, not just hoping someone asks you, hey, what do you know about lighting? Integrators that are really having success already in the field are really actively positioning lighting as a very important aspect of their companies, and driving those conversations with specifiers and builders and really becoming relevant in the space.
You mentioned education. What education tools are you providing for dealers out there that are, is it a factory visit? Are you doing on-site things? Are you touring? Is it all of the above? What does your training routine look
We
like?
haven't done a whole lot here at the factory or in Montreal at our head office.
Over the border probably gets a little tricky, right? For some people.
For some people, it can if they don't have the passport.
Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah,
it does make it more difficult to travel, but we do a lot of. We've done some regional trainings. We have a certification process where dealers that come on board after having a session with me, for example, I'm still a guy driving those initial presentations on product, company, applications, the business opportunity of things. And then we've got different people that'll take over there from a more in-depth technical overview of Colorbeam, how it comes together. Between those two aspects and making dealers comfortable with just speaking about lighting, our lighting design services takes over from there, because we're not expecting them to have to do any of that.
That's really the point I was kind of driving at. Is it's really more of a comfort thing. It's not so much of a training thing. If you're a low voltage integrator, you're probably pretty comfortable with multi-conductor wire. You're comfortable with category cable. You're comfortable with all of those things. So really, all this is kind of an obstacle maybe in your mind, or maybe just how you're presenting options that you offer to your clients. Like, oh, yeah, I may not be the dyed-in-the-wool expert, but I've got a whole team of them that I can call for this product that I support. We can do an amazing lighting design and I can follow their directions to the letter and make sure you're satisfied.
That's exactly the process, is getting them educated enough to speak intelligently about lighting, to talk about features and benefits that will enhance their customers' homes on an everyday basis. From a technology standpoint, it's what they do every single day. Our enclosures are housing low voltage technology, and at the other end, instead of a speaker, it's a fixture, and between the two, there's a cat cable. How different is it than what you're doing every single day?
It's not. Yeah,
Sure.
it's not
Right?
at all. Love it.
So, yes, you're doing it for the first time. There's a bit of a learning curve. It's things that you haven't done in the past, but you do one or two projects, and it's like everything else. You become an expert at it, and away you go. So, not don't fear it. We're there to support you, and from a lighting design perspective, that's the biggest obstacle is that we get is, well, how would I even know what to sell? How many would I sell? Where would I position them?
Right.
Don't worry about that. We do that for you, right? We're taking that right off of your plate.
Yeah.
So,
And that's
Love
great
it.
because it's definitely reassuring for a lot of integrators because, you could say it is obviously critical if you're putting speakers through somebody's house that it sounds good, that they're positioned in the right way, but it's definitely not as critical as lighting, right? So there's absolutely a lot of fear where this is a critical system that I'm getting myself into. And previously all I've done is, audio or video, but it's, network is a critical infrastructure, right? Plenty of CI guys got very familiar and can, deploy a robust network for a giant house or whatever. Lighting is just a comfort level thing. And it sounds like you guys are really, you guys are really kind of putting all the tools in place and taking a lot of that stuff, internally to reassure and make sure it's going to be a success for an integrator.
we're trying as hard as we can. It just, like anything else, there's early adopters in every category. There's early adopters in the lighting category from a dealer perspective. There's early adopters from a rep perspective. There's early adopters from even luxury builders perspective. And we're really at day one. Boy, were we early to the party when I look back on things and we say, hey, we've been doing this for 7 years, and today is still regarded as day one. But it's allowed us to build a brand and a reputation and hopefully a good one. But yeah, the time is now for AV integrators to see the opportunity, to recognize it, to understand it. As a business owner, you're always looking to move forward, to grow your company. How do I increase margin? How do I increase revenue? Well, I can't say from an AV perspective that that's a warm and fuzzy, because I come from the AV world and it's always been commoditization, sure. Do-it-yourselfers. So, lighting, and especially in the luxury side of things, that's something that you can't shop. We have a very tight distribution channel. We aren't distributed. Our whole model has been manufactured to dealer, which is the CI channel. Mm-hmm. No one had done that before. So that had to, a lot of the other manufacturers that came into the space had to modify their go-to strategy to accommodate that. So we do offer customers, our dealers, a great opportunity for revenue and margin and project registration and so on, that at the end of the day is what you're looking for from a vendor to grow a category, to grow your business, to grow revenue, and to differentiate yourself.
Sure. That makes perfect sense. Along the lines of, getting CI guys into the lighting world, we're going to pivot a little bit here, but Lightapalooza is coming up. Jayson and I have talked about it a lot on a lot of these, podcasts that we've done so far.
And off of the podcast as well, shockingly.
To say that Lightapalooza has become all consuming, I don't know if that would be an understatement, honestly. But it is certainly coming up. It's coming up at the end of February here, a few weeks away, down in Phoenix. And, obviously this is a great opportunity for dealers to get a little bit more familiar, to see the trade show, to do the educational things. Can you tell us a little bit about what we'll see from Colorbeam at Lightapalooza?
Well, it's not going to be much different than our CEDIA booth, obviously a little bit of a smaller footprint, but we're still focusing on two things that make us different. Our our booths have never been about, looking like a lighting store. That's not what we do. It's really about highlighting the infrastructure, the simplicity of it, and quite frankly, our lighting design and support services. Those are the two things that make us different today, and those are the two things that we focus on. Having 62 different fixtures and 42 different colors in a booth is kind of irrelevant for us today, because we're still moving the integrator into the category before, he doesn't even know about how many fixtures we should have or don't have. So it's really about the simplicity of the infrastructure, what the low voltage aspect does for them, how we support them through the design phase right on through the installation process. So that's what we focus on, and that hasn't changed. And, it's a consistent theme in our booth. One of the things that you will see is, in addition to our DIN rail modules that we've had for the last 3 years or so, the next generation of products, in addition to the DIN rail modules, will be what we're calling our AV rack modules. So taking the DIN rail modules into 1U AV rack mount solutions that they can throw into the existing AV rack, or have a separate AV rack for lighting only. So removing the need for wall space, which is sometimes at a premium. So that's for us is a big part of our future in allowing AV integrators a different way of installation without the traditional on-wall cans. Well, not that that's going away,
right?
But it just gives more flexibility.
It's flexibility, and that is definitely the name of the game, especially with an integrator who can now put their lighting modules right into a rack. You only get so much space in these homes, right? As large as this house is, you're always truncated here, and being able to put all that stuff in a rack and kind of keep it all self-contained. And
surprisingly enough, even when you're doing a 10,000 square foot home or beyond, it seems that they're at a wall space is at a premium, let alone when you're doing a 2,000 square foot house or condo or apartment in New York City.
Certainly.
Every inch is at a premium. So that can offset some of that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
No, it's quite all right.
I was going to say, and I'm just shifting gears here because I had just kind of pop in my mind, but when you think about your product offerings you have, what do you think is like the most like wow or gotcha thing that you guys present to integrators that really opens their eyes to what the opportunity is? Like, is there a specific SKU? Is it a solution? Like, what do you think it is that really like it opens people's eyes to what what you got?
The one thing we've always been known for, from an infrastructure perspective, the low voltage aspect is one thing. It's more important for the integrator than it actually is for the homeowner in certain cases, because he may or may not care how that light source ends up being turned on or off. But the number one thing that we're known for, and that when those lights go on, either in test mode or whatever, it's like, wow, it's the quality of the light source that comes out of our fixtures. The fact that we don't do anything that's not tunable white. That's who we are. That's what we've been. We were talking about tunable white before anyone even knew what tunability was. And we were doing it with red, blue, green 7 years ago without even having white chips in our fixtures. And we were doing technically tunable white. And so today, really, when you talk to specifiers, the more time I spend with specifiers in the marketplace, not so long ago, we would say, are you being, or what do you think about tunability? And they'd say, well, we're not being asked about it. Well, I say, well, that's kind of your job to specify it, because most homeowners wouldn't even know what tunability is or exists. And today, the more I have conversations with specifiers, the more they're talking about how important tunable light is to a home, how they're using it as an overall tool in the design process. To some, I've had some conversations with lighting designers and even designers saying, we use tunability in a certain way where based on each and every room that we design, we're going to tell the integrator to lock that room in at 2800 Kelvin because that's the best light for that room based on the colors and everything else that's going into that room. So it's become an extension of the design process using light, which is fantastic to hear.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so for us, if there was one thing they were known for is the quality of our recessed fixtures and the quality of the light source and the chipsets that we use, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to impact the overall look and feel of the home.
100%.
And it's definitely a bit of a new concept, the using color and using tunable whites to really as a design aspect, right? So if you have a client that has artwork or a gallery or however that looks, even for wine storage or classic cars or whatever that is, the I mean, it can't be minimized how different that room will look depending on what kind of light you have in there and depending on what kind of what degree of whiteness that light is, and that's I feel as a former integrator that's something that I have a tough time articulating, just to get that out there and kind of work through, like, you're spending all of this money on wall treatments and fixtures and carpeting and everything else. Don't you want it to be, exactly as, in the video world, it's TV specs versus what the director intended you to see, right? It's a lot of the same thing where, don't you want to light that artwork the way that it was intended to be lit? Wouldn't you want your garage full of amazing cars to really just kind of pop and stand out? And
yes, I would like that very much, Chris. I'd like my garage full of amazing cars to be very well lit.
From a lighting design perspective, we spend a lot of time focused on exactly that, because the luxury market, or the luxury residential customer, if you want to call him that, he has a lot of things that are important to them. And no one is paying attention to lighting those things effectively, whether it's wine, whether it's guitars, whether it's guns, whether it's whatever the case may be. There's a lot of things that go into a home that are very important to that homeowner. And if you're not paying attention to it, then you're just losing an opportunity to make that home so much more appealing to the homeowner, because it's what they're going to see and live every single day. You can put a $250,000 projector into a house and they may be used once a month, maybe once every 6 months. The lighting gets used every single day. And I go back to one of the earlier projects we ever did, which is one of the biggest ones we ever did, with Generation 1 lighting, and it was all color. And I would go and visit that home on occasion, and the homeowner would always say to me, he says, Mike, I think there's over $2 million of AV technology in this house. And the number one thing that people bring up is the lighting. Every single time I have guests over, that's the number one thing, because they live it, they breathe it, they see it, how they interact with it. So that's part of lighting design. And a very few amount of projects actually have a lighting designer on the project, which means that the lighting is being done like it's always ever been done. It's a handful of cans in the ceiling. There's no thought to furniture placements. There's no thought to the things that are important to the customer. There's no thought to art, for example. So those are all the things that go that play a big role in lighting the space more effectively.
Again, that makes perfect sense. Is there, to kind of bring it into different projects where these things are implemented, do you have a project in your mind? Would it be that first one that stands out to you as a project that really kind of encompasses that, or is there another one that you really have an affinity for that you could tell us about?
Well, you know what, that early project in Las Vegas, I think stands out for the simple reason that
sorry to laugh. It's amazing. It's incredible.
Well, it's
came out of the gate with a winner.
It's generation one of product, but it met the lifestyle of the customer so perfectly. That's what stood out, is we were able to give the customer what that customer wanted at that time and who he was as a person, as a homeowner, the type of entertaining he did, the people that came over, the ability to make that house look like a club or a hotel or whatever he wanted to make it look like at a press of a button. That's what we feel we delivered, and obviously it resonated with him the way he, the feedback that we get from that customer. So that one stands out. There's been others that may not have been as big from a footprint perspective, but really accomplished the same thing. Not every customer wants the same thing, a lot more conservative type of customers. And what they're buying into is the ability simply from a tunable white perspective to make that space look very warm and welcoming based on time of day or application or a dinner party versus the kids running around playing. So that in itself goes a long way in making the space more livable and more user friendly. So there's been obviously a lot of projects, but at the end of the day, I think the thing that stands out is when we're able to meet the customer's lifestyle requirements with Colorbeam. That's what we do.
Well, that makes perfect sense because that seems to be where the CI integrator is too, right? Like you're really trying to hit all the things that are important to the client. So picture quality, sound quality, do you entertain often? Do you do this? And it's great that Colorbeam is so versatile that it allows you to satisfy that for a client. Because I think that's really, we're in a business of luxury, right? Like we're into this for satisfying clients and doing cool things, on a macro scale, and Colorbeam really being able to, bring those products in is just massive for especially an integrator.
Well, you hit the nail on the head when you say, the CI channel delivers cool things. Well, what was so cool about a light that turns on and off that had a single Kelvin? There was nothing cool about that, right? And now there's this evolution of technology and products that allow you to do so many wonderful things with light in the ceiling, in the walls, cove light, toe kicks, and really bring all of those layers of light together to make a room or a home spectacular versus just average. It's no different than lighting up the exterior of a house. You've got multi-million-dollar homes that are so poorly lit from an outside perspective that there's no curb appeal at night. You've got this multi-million-dollar house, all kinds of money spent, architectural details, stonework, all kinds of things, and there's two sconces next to the front.
I was just thinking that
I
was literally just imagining what you were saying. I'm like, yeah, there's like a couple of sconces on some pillars and maybe like some floodlights stuck on the outside of the house into the grass, right?
Yeah. So now we're able to light up that house effectively. We bring curb appeal. We're using outdoor lighting now for holiday themes and Christmas themes, and basically replacing the need of Christmas lights with more professional year-round lighting.
I want that very badly, frankly. Save me from breaking my neck on a ladder. A and B just totally change the game. Show up all my neighbors.
I'm getting too old to be Clark Griswold every 12 months.
100%. Yeah, I want to get Santa and the elves back in the attic as soon as I possibly can. So.
Yeah, that is it's kind of wild. I'm seeing a lot more down here in Orange County, but the permanent Christmas light avenue, I swear I never would have imagined something like that. I'm always the guy with the 30-foot extension ladder, hanging them up, Clark Griswold or whatever. And, in my neighborhood, I'm starting to see this more and more, that there are tracks that are going up on the eaves and they look amazing and they're great. Yeah. It's no work. You can light these things up. I mean, there's honestly people in my neighborhood who light these things up like they'll be red for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, 4th of July, red, white, and blue, baby.
Right? Come on. Like, why not? It just kind of gives you an idea of how the things that you can do with light are definitely, sneaking into everybody's consciousness. And I think that's just a great thing. To be able to make the world more lively with these kind of things and to kind of elevate your standard of living and have these cool things is pretty great. So we're getting close to the end here. And before we run off here, Mike, is there any other stuff that you want to share that we didn't quite get to in here? Is there something important to you that you want to share?
Well, I'm always reinforcing the message to all, to the channel of getting into the category, whether, quite frankly, whether it's with Colorbeam or not, or Colorbeam is part of your solutions that allow you to go to market. The time is now to get into the category. There's a lot of great partners out there that you can choose. It, quite frankly, together we add a collection of solutions that Colorbeam may not fit for everyone, and other brands may not be the right brand for other types of homes or customer applications. But There is no better business opportunity for you guys in the CEDIA channel in the next few years to drive revenue, to grow, to become relevant to specifiers. Lighting will do that for you. We've got, when you talk to certain dealers that say, hey, if I can be doing lighting and shades and exclusively lighting and shades in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm good with that. You've got rep firms that are saying the same thing, whether that's going to happen, how quickly that's going to happen. And when you got reps saying, hey, if I can just have, lines of lighting and shades and indoor and outdoor shading, I'm good with that, because I know that that's a part of every luxury house should have these toys. Not these toys, but these solutions. And, I always say one of the things that I'll say on a regular basis, from an expression standpoint, I walked into a lot of rooms that didn't have AV, but I've yet to walk into a room without a light. And it really speaks to
that's a great point.
The magnitude. Lighting is one of the largest industries in the world. And every single room that an AV integrator has been in, whether it be residential or commercial or hospitality, is an opportunity for lighting in making that space better, making it more fun, making it cooler. Wellness and circadian rhythm lighting is going to be a huge conversation piece in the next few years. And we're doing that as well. And other brands are coming into the space of wellness. There's a lot of people looking for better lighting solutions. And now that it exists, we went, 100 years that a light turned on and off with a light bulb. And then we got dimming, and that was cool. And now we're going from dimming to this whole host of solutions, from tunable and wellness and color. And it's, technology is evolving so rapidly, not only in lighting, but in general, that today there's a host of better ways to light your home, your space, your work, commercial. We play a big role in hospitality with what we do. Sure. From a color perspective, and it just makes space more pleasing to be in. And that's really what we're doing with a host of better products, technology, solutions, and so on.
That's beautiful. Well, it's been great, Mike. I mean, really, definitely know a lot more about Colorbeam than we did before.
I was going to say that very thing. I'm like, man, I learned a lot sitting here today. So
absolutely,
this is fantastic.
Please share the word.
We shall. I think we're indebted to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you guys have been great partners so far. Reach out to your Oliver rep in Northern California and Northern Arizona. We can help get you started. We can get you in touch with Mike. We can really kind of help you wrap your arms around this whole thing. So again, Mike, thank you. We really appreciate the conversation, and thank you for joining us on Inside Integration. To everybody watching, please like and subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, and we are on YouTube. The audio version, you don't get to see, the three of us, wonderful looking individuals, so I can't really speak too much for that. But again, thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Jayson, it was a lot of fun. Be happy to be your guest whenever you need a guest.
Appreciate it. We can talk about hockey next time.
Absolutely.
The next time we all do a podcast together, it will be hockey focused. So let's make sure we make that happen. So Excellent. Thank you guys very much.
See you guys. Thank you.
Take care.